In most careers, you retire by 65, maybe even earlier. But in politics, not so much. Congress members often stay until they're pushing 90, like CEOs who never leave their companies. Why? Is it experience, stubbornness, or just a love of power? And what happens when they finally hang up their gavel? In Washington, D.C., politicians like Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell defy retirement norms. While most people retire by 65, these figures have spent decades shaping policy, outlasting multiple eras. Is it power they can't let go of, or a system that rewards longevity over fresh perspectives? When they finally step down, what changes and what stays the same? Lindsey Graham's alleged bucket list skydiving, surfing. Maybe a book went unchecked when he died at 68. Why? In Washington, politicians don't retire, they just keep going. Mitch McConnell, now the last man standing in his party, outlives peers like a political Methuselah. Trump called Graham a friend but barely paused to mourn him. It's satire. Geriatric leaders play chess with their own mortality, delaying life until it's too late. Politicians like Lindsey Graham never retire. They cling to power like it's a fountain of youth. At 68, he died without skydiving or surfing, while Mitch McConnell outlasts his peers in a gerontocracy where power has no expiration date. Trump called him a friend, but barely paused for mourning. They play chess with mortality, too busy staying relevant to live. Who's next? And will they ever step down? Lindsey Graham had a bucket list skydiving, surfing, maybe even writing that book he always talked about. But when he died at 68, none of it happened. Why? Because in Washington, politicians don't retire. They just keep going. Take Mitch McConnell. He's still there, outliving his peers like some kind of political Methuselah. Power doesn't come with an expiration date, and once you've tasted it, letting go feels impossible. Trump called Graham a friend, but barely paused to mourn him properly. It's like they're playing chess with their own mortality, too busy staying in the game to enjoy life outside of it. So who's next on this longevity list, and will they ever get around to living? Mitch McConnell's like that one relative who never ages, just keeps showing up year after year, while his peers fade into history. How? Partly strategy. He pivots when others resist change, like shifting from filibuster opponent to bipartisan dealmaker overnight. But mostly, it's about power. Once you've spent decades blocking progress, stepping aside feels like quitting a winning game. Meanwhile, Trump calls Graham a friend in a tweet, no real mourning, just political calculus. It's like Washington has its own fountain of youth, more time, less actual living. Imagine being so committed to power that you forget to live. Mitch McConnell has outlasted his peers like a political immortal, while Lindsey Graham died with unchecked bucket list items, skydiving, surfing, even writing a book. But at what cost? Cognitive decline, health risks, and governance suffering when leaders are in their 80s or older. Trump called Graham a friend but barely paused to mourn him properly. It's like they're playing chess with their own mortality, too busy staying in the game to enjoy life outside of it. So who's next on this longevity list? And will they ever get around to living? In Washington, power doesn't come with a retirement date. Take Lindsey Graham dead at 68, with a bucket list unchecked, skydiving, surfing, writing that book he never got to pen. Meanwhile, Mitch McConnell's still there, outlasting his peers like some kind of political Methuselah. Why? Because leaving power feels like quitting a winning game. Trump called Graham a friend in a tweet, no real mourning, just political calculus. It's not about living, it's about staying relevant. So who's next on this longevity list? And will they ever get around to living? Just political calculus. Imagine a political landscape where experience isn't measured in years of service but in decades of tenure. Lindsey Graham's passing leaves a void, one that younger politicians like Darlene Graham, his sister and Trump's protege, are trying to fill. But here's the catch. Washington rewards longevity over innovation. Darlene Graham may lack the legislative track record her brother had, yet she's being pushed into the spotlight because Trump sees potential in fresh ore, at least ones with the Graham name. Meanwhile, Mitch McConnell, the ultimate political survivor, continues to outlast his peers like a game of political chess where the board never resets. The question isn't whether they'll succeed, it's whether the system will let them. Because in D.C., power doesn't retire, it just gets older. Washington's political graveyard is filling up with 100-year-olds. But the real question is why they're staying so long. Mitch McConnell outlasted Lindsey Graham like a chess player who never loses a piece. Trump called him a friend barely pausing to mourn because in D.C., power doesn't retire. It just gets older. Darlene Graham, his sister and Trump's pick for his seat, is now the face of a system that rewards over fresh ideas. But here's the catch. When politicians live past 80, do they still govern well, or are they just playing a game with no end? The system cheers longevity, but at what cost? Lindsey Graham's passing isn't just a loss for South Carolina, it's another casualty in Washington's obsession with longevity. Mitch McConnell, still thriving at 82, has outlasted his peers like some kind of political Methuselah, while Trump's backhanded tribute to Graham, just a tweet calling him friend, shows how little real mourning happens here. The system rewards those who play the long game. Darlene Graham, Lindsey's sister and Trump's pick for his seat, is stepping in with zero experience, but Washington doesn't care. It only cares about staying power. The question isn't whether they'll succeed. It's whether anyone will ever let them quit. Washington's political class is living longer than ever, but at what cost? Lindsey Graham's sudden passing leaves behind a bucket list he never got to cross off, like skydiving and writing a book. Meanwhile, Mitch McConnell, the ultimate political survivor, keeps going strong at 82, while younger politicians like Darlene Graham step in with little experience. The system rewards longevity, but is that really what democracy needs? When politicians live past 80, do they still govern well, or are they just playing a game with no end? Imagine a world where your grandparent is still running for president, and their opponent is their own great-grandchild. Sounds like a sci-fi movie, but in Washington, D.C., this isn't just possible. It's happening right now. Politicians are living longer than ever before, but at what cost? When they stay in power past 80, do they still govern well, or are they just playing a game with no end? The system rewards